rattling the natural gas industry. Researchers from the U.S. Geological Survey say a spate of earthquakes in the Midwest are almost certainly man-made and may coincide with wastewater from oil and gas drilling being injected into the ground. According to the study, there were an average of 21 seismic events in the region per year from 1970 until 2000. Then, in 2010, there were 50. Last year, that number jumped to 134. Joining us now to give some perspective and to respond to the data is Lee Fuller. He's Executive Director of Energy in Depth, a research group created by the Independent Petroleum Association of America. Lee, welcome to In Business. This is obviously fueling part of a huge debate here about fracking. Now, let's put the fracking portion of this aside, talk about the wastewater bit that this data analyzed. Is the wastewater process contributing to some of these events?
Well, I think the question will be how detailed and how intense the analysis is when it finally gets released. What we've seen so far has been an abstract of the report that the USGS is putting together. And it does, as you point out, address the issue of whether wastewater that's generated and has been generated for since we've been developing oil and natural gas and is managed through this underground injection process has the potential to cause some type of seismic activity, and whether that reflects a need to in some way adjust the management of underground injection. There's about 150,000 operating underground injection wells now. About 30% of those are used for the actual disposal of produced water from oil and gas operations. The others are actually used to help what's called secondary recovery, produce more oil and natural gas from what are called conventional formations.
Now, I understand the argument, the correlation with the number of these events is not the same thing as linking causation of fracking to this. However, how does the industry explain this jump, this increase in earthquakes?
Well, let me make one point right away, and that is that this is not a result of fracturing. This is, if there's an issue here, the issue is in the management of produced water that comes up with the oil and natural gas and has been part of the overall management all along.
And made that point, but the wastewater process is part of the overall process.
Wastewater is produced as a part of oil and gas production and always has been. In this particular analysis, to the degree that we look at it, it indicates that there's always been some level of seismic activity associated with wastewater management. What's exactly causing the increase that is referenced in the study, I think we'll have to see the details of the report and then see what kind of additional research. It may be wastewater management. It may be increases in the volume of the wastewater management. It may be that the wells need to be operated more carefully. One of the dynamics that can produce more seismic activity from an injection well is the amount of water that's being put into it at a given window of time. So part of the issue may be that these wells are being run too intensely. We're just going to have to look at the details as they come out and then adjust the management of these underground injection wells if, in fact, it's a problem that warrants that kind of action.
So if you are going to change, perhaps, some of the methods used, what kind of cost are you talking about to the industry?
Well, I don't know that there's a specific cost that you can attach to the industry. There's a couple of things that I would see being plausible options. And one of the activities that's already underway in many of the producing areas is the reuse of this water rather than its disposal. Particularly in places like the Marcellus Shale, where there's not capacity to underground inject the water that's being generated from the shale gas that's being developed there, the companies are taking the water, cleaning it up, and then using it as the source water, hydraulic fracturing in other areas, and then, of course, that will produce water with it. Beyond that, I think it's a question of whether there need to be more wells drilled. This whole management question is not one certainly that is just associated with produced water. It's an underground injection management issue.
All right. Thanks, Lee. We got to leave it there right now and take a break. When we come back, working women became a campaign topic.